My top 5 players out of the whole NBA that ever played the game was
LeBron James,
Michael Jordan,
Michael Jordan,
Carmelo Anthony,
Michael Jordan,
Michael Jordan.
From the field, 17 for 39. What a move by Rose! Yes!
Patrick Ewing,
LeBron James,
Dr. J.
Three. Missed it. White gets it. Backs it.
Scottie Pippen,
Will Chamberlain,
KD,
Bill Russell,
Stephen Curry.
Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan,
You're lousy. You don't have to have yourself with walking with black people.
Your name was the name mentioned in the recordings of racist remarks believed to be made by Clippers owner Donald Sterling.
Taking pictures with minorities. Why?
Thing, white Russ in a white crowd, game started. We thought the game gonna go by smooth.
It was a dude who worked for ESPN called Jimmy Sidner.
I mean, all the players are black. I mean, the only thing that the whites control is the coaching jobs.
A few moments ago, upon entering the court for pregame warm-ups, the unified statement from the Clipper players wearing their warm-up shirts inside out, so the word Clippers are not across their chests. A statement apparently made.
My name is Louis Thorpe. I'm a teacher at North Lawndale College Prep and also the head basketball coach. I think there is racism in sports. It's unfortunate, but it's certainly out there, depending on the sport that is involved, but it's certainly racism.
My name is Kelly Martin. I'm a math teacher and I'm the assistant athletic director at North Lawndale College Prep High School. One incident that sticks out in my head mostly is when you had the Chris Webber 5-5 situation. Those guys were sensational basketball players. They brought a lot of revenues to the college. They brought a lot of revenues in 1991 to 1993. They played on the highest stage. They played against the best teams. They were on TV, the media coverage. And you got the #1 player probably in the nation, Chris Webber. He's at a store. He sees his jersey being sold for $65, and this guy couldn't even go to McDonald's go get himself a sandwich. But his jersey was being sold for $65, $70, probably $100 at that point. Racism in basketball shouldn't be tolerated because I think that both blacks and both whites, both of them play the game. So I think that everybody should be treated fairly, equally. I don't think that a crime should be committed by a black player. I don't think that it should have so much more media shout versus being with the same kind of crime created by a white player, and it happens often.
Developing story that we need to address. The NBA is investigating racist remarks allegedly made by LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling in a phone call with his girlfriend. It's an audio tape obtained by TMZ. In that conversation, the man believed to be Sterling takes issue with his girlfriend posting a picture of herself with Magic Johnson and posting it on Instagram saying, quote,
Negativity coming from there's no negativity. I love everybody. I'm just saying, in your lousy Instagrams, you don't have to have yourself with walking with black people.
There's no room for that in our game. We've found a way to make this the greatest game in the world, and for comments like that, it taints our game, and we can't have that. Can't have it from a player, we can't have it from an owner, we can't have it from a fan, and so on and so on. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, or whatever the case may be.
Obviously, the NBA is a league. It's got an awful lot of African-American players. It's steeped in African-American culture. And I suspect that the NBA is going to be deeply concerned in resolving this.
I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA.
The thing about Donald Sterling that I wanted people to understand is it did not begin with what he said that was offensive. This is a man who, had, for years, he effectively practiced housing discrimination against black people, had been accused of discrimination in how he ran his team. We saw the stuff that came out with the Atlanta Hawks and Danny Ferry. These are merely the things that come to light, too.
But he is also, he's a good guy overall, but he's not perfect. He's got an African in him. And I don't say that in a bad way.
I would have to say, I don't really think it does as much to the players as people think because they make so much money. And I think what happens is the generation of guys who are in the NBA right now, they weren't beaten over the head about the civil rights movement like my generation was. And so now I happen to know Danny Ferry personally. He's not a bad guy. He's not a racist guy. But you would never know it by those comments that were out there. So I think it hurts the front office and the ownership more than it does the players.
Yes, I think it's more racist owners in the NBA because it's almost, they just don't speak about it because, man, they don't want their players to revolt against them somewhat like the Los Angeles Clippers did to Donald Sterling. They don't want not wearing the logo and things like that because, man, you're trying to sell a brand.
The thing you want to say, obviously, is the players. Because the players, there's a tendency to focus on how big LeBron's contract is or, how big Kevin Durant's contract is. But what, is behind us, these guys are millionaires, but what's behind them are billionaires, who have the ability to insulate them. So listen, Donald Sterling had to sell his team. He's going to be okay. He's going to be all right.
If you notice in the beginning of the documentary, none of the people I surveyed named a dominant white player.
Five white dominant players. I'd say Dirk Nowitzki. I would say.
Wait, he's not white.
He's not white.
No, he's German or something.
He's German. Okay. 5 white. I cannot name 5 whites because most of them are probably from overseas.
You live in a tough city. Chicago's a tough city. So a lot of the basketball coaches I know personally want to recruit Chicago kids because they find them to be the toughest kids in the country. And it's sad because you all have had to deal with people being shot around you, people getting robbed around you, gang activity, cold weather, all this stuff. It goes into making kids tough.
We played down in Breeze Mater Dei High School, which is it's a dominant white town. In fact, I don't think there was a black person at the game. But there was a series of calls. We were playing a home team. It was a series of calls that didn't go our way. We thought they were unfair, but we played through it. And we ended up losing the game on a bad call toward the end, and we lost the game. And one of the managers was in the locker room. The officials came in through another door, and as they came down, they were high-fiving. Yeah, we got those niggers. So, at first I thought maybe it was just bad calls. But when I was told that happened, then we realized that it was racism.
There'll never be a nigger I see. There'll never be a nigger I see. You came from a dream, but don't never talk to me. There'll never be a nigger I see. There'll never be a nigger I see. There'll never be a nigger I see. You came from a dream, but don't never talk to me. There'll never be.
It's not always about racism. It's tribalism. People work and they do business with people they like and know. It's got nothing to do with your color. It's, can you get the job done? Do you have the resources, money? Do you have the infrastructure? Can you put things together, and can you lead?
I think like goals are really, really important. I think fixing yourself to particular things, are really, really important in spite of whatever the social context might be.
When the media sees that, man, we got arrested for a DUI, we did something at a club that a normal white person would possibly do, man, for whatever reasons, it gets expounded upon, man, so much. The media is going to say something, and man, we have to have ourselves in positions where we're not going to have negative depictions come out. We have to have ourselves, man, when we're positive role models, and within things that we do. But for whatever reasons, when the media sees that, man, we got arrested for a DUI, we did something at a club that a normal white person would possibly do, man, for whatever reasons, it gets expounded upon, man, so much that, man, it becomes worse. And then, as I stated earlier, that's when Nike, that's when the sponsorships, that's when Gatorade, that's when those people say, man, no, we don't want this guy to be out promoting our product. And it just so happens that, man, that winds up happening to a lot of blacks. But we, as I stated, we have to put ourselves in the right light. We have to put our best foot forward in everything that we do. We have to make sure that we understand that we're representing a people and not just ourselves, man. Sometimes, man, the game is bigger than you, and you have to realize that. It's a lot riding on it.